welcome into TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. We are going to be analysing that Clásico right there that has ended here at the Camp Nou. Barcelona 1, Real Madrid 1. Madrid taking the lead very, very early on. We've hit back through Malcom, but it has finished here all square at the Camp Nou. And going into that second leg at the end of the month, it is all to play for. There is so much to discuss because it was, in many ways, a very entertaining Clásico. Down both ends, there was chances. There was certainly questionable decisions from the referee, and I also think there was a lot to discuss in terms of the tactical look at this game and also the players that were selected. Malcom given his chance, and for me, he definitely took it. And I think overall, guys, I don't want to say before I get onto the real detailed look at this game, I think overall 1-1 is probably a fair result when you dress it all down, when you lose the emotion, because right now I'm feeling pretty damn frustrated. I think looking at this game, I think we really could have won here. We could have won the game, and you look at it and you are frustrated simply because I know in my mind we're missing here the best player of all time. Messi came on today. There was a bit of doubt in his mind, certainly, or he would never have been on the bench in the first place. So really, we're missing Messi. That's a massive part of our team. Then you look around and you think, who else would be brilliant at exposing that Real Madrid defence? The first player that springs to mind, Ousmane Dembele. We don't have him either. So straight away there, you're missing Messi, you're missing Dembele. And out on the field today, there was openings there for us. There was real chances to be had. And I just don't think we did enough. I think given the occasion, particularly in that first half, there wasn't enough players out there in the absence of Messi, in the absence of Dembele. There wasn't enough there, enough spark, enough movement to really step up and capture this occasion. And I think 1-1 is probably fair, simply because Real Madrid took the lead, they came out, they were pressing high, they actually played a lot better in that first half than I really expected them to. They were very, very good, certainly on the counter-attack. There was a few times, really, they could have caught us out. And I want to really single out here Gerard Piqué. What an absolutely phenomenal performance at centre-half. He always comes alive in the big games. When it comes to big games, I would back Gerard Piqué 10 out of 10 times. He gets his mind ready, he's up for this, he looks at his man, and he thinks it's not happening. A lot of times there on the counter-attack, if it wasn't for Piqué, last gasp blocks, he was getting in tackles, he was really anticipating the movement. If it wasn't for Piqué, it could have been a lot worse there in that first half, and he was, for me today, absolutely brilliant. But if you just take a look at this here, and it's basically what I think we could have done more in the first half, simply because we spoke about it in the lead-up. You had Vazquez here, of course, scored the Real Madrid goal, and he did very, very well. It was a bit unfortunate that Alba just couldn't quite get onto the header, but obviously down the left-hand side here, Alba never really got in. We spoke about that. He did shut him down there, Vazquez, and we weren't really able to use Alba there on the left-hand side. What we did do, though, we changed our approach really well. I said in the build-up, you've got to go down this right-hand side and really target the left side of Real Madrid, and I thought we were wonderful. I thought we were absolutely brilliant down that right-hand side. I thought SEMEDO had one hell of a game. Really, he was. He was up and down all game long, and he was absolutely brilliant. Vinicius didn't even last the full game, simply because he could not deal with the runs of SEMEDO. He was getting back in here. Vinicius couldn't stay with him, and after about 70 minutes or so, he was substituted. And I think Malcom, like I say, he really took his chance. He was really getting at Marcelo. There was a lot of space here. He was getting in behind, and I think as a duo, they did really, really well. Considering that SEMEDO and Malcom, of course, haven't really played together that often, I thought that as a partnership, they did really, really well in that final third. The problem was, though, for me, and the real issue there in that final third, was once we got into these areas, once you had Malcom here, who was getting in between Marcelo, once you had SEMEDO on the overlap, and Vinicius unable to track back, once you were in that kind of area, there wasn't really enough movement. I think in that first half, Suarez was far too static. He wasn't getting into here. He wasn't showing the angle, and I think Coutinho, in that first half there, was virtually anonymous. As a player with a transfer fee as big as his is, and you look at Malcom today, who's come in and really made an impact, who's grasped the occasion, Coutinho has got to be making that movement in there. He's got to be coming here and looking for the ball, but he just didn't seem to want to. When he got the ball, he either had a shot from distance or he ended up losing it. You've got to see more from those kind of players, particularly without Messi today. It needed more in that final third, because on the final pass, the final touch, it wasn't quite happening. But I want to talk about Malcom. Of course, you've got to talk about Malcom simply because the goal came from him, and in that first half, like I say, he was the real outlet on that right-hand side, and the goal was magnificent. Suarez has to take an enormous amount of credit for this, simply because he makes something out of nothing. It's a ball in behind, Jordi Alba's onto it, he looks to take it round Keylor Navas flying out of his goal, just about gets there, but then Suarez, like he does, this is Suarez in a nutshell. He might miss from 2 yards, he might mess up a simple pass, but then about 20 yards from goal, back to goal, turning on the angle, he puts in an unbelievable strike, bending it right round the Real Madrid defence. It looks like it's going straight in. That would have been an incredible Clásico goal. It doesn't though. It cannons out. Ramos, I think it is, getting back in there. It cannons out from him, and then it lands with Malcom. And it's not close range either. He's just inside the box. He might look to pass it, but he doesn't. He shows that confidence, and that's what we saw today. It was Malcom playing without that fear. He didn't look like he was weighed down by pressure. Coutinho right now looks like that. He looks like a lack of confidence. He's looking like he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders. Malcom came out today though, and he was shrugging that off. He was trying things. He was trying to make things happen. He was making those runs. He was taking a risk. He took his goal on. It fell at his feet, and he went, right, I'm taking this moment, and bang, straight in the back of the net. Brilliant goal, gets us level on the night. And then I thought, we're going to go on and win this game. We are going to go on and win this game. You've got Messi coming off the bench. You've got Arturo Vidal coming off the bench for Ivan Rakitic. And I think, look, we've got so much balance now. We've got Arthur in midfield. You've got a bit more energy there from Vidal. You've got Messi coming on. Malcom coming off to the left. Coutinho had gone off. And you were thinking, this is absolutely perfect. All we're going to do now is smother Real Madrid. We're going to create a lot of chances, and it's going to happen for us. But it never really did. We never really then got going. And the question for me is, was it a case of Messi comes on, and suddenly then it's like, well, you know, Messi's on the pitch. We can go and do this now. Messi will sort it out. And I think that was the problem there. We didn't really sustain that level of intensity. We didn't really sustain that level of play from the rest of the team. When Messi came on, we just dropped off a bit. And that was the real problem today. We never really kicked on. It was almost like against Valencia. We got back to 2-2, but we didn't then take it that extra level to get the winning goal. And Real Madrid, certainly in the final stages, they were coming into the game. And it was really, really unfortunate, I think, that Malcom suffered a bit of a knock. He was banging on his thigh. He was really, really annoyed. He was banging on his leg. He didn't want to go off, but he had to go off. He clearly picked up something. And I think if he'd have stayed on for a bit longer, that little bit of pace in behind, you saw it drop to Alenia in that kind of area, but he didn't quite have the pace to get away from Real Madrid. Malcom would have. And I just think in this kind of game, it was a bit of bad luck in the end. No Messi for most of it. No Dembele at all. Malcom, who scores, comes off injured. And then you've got Matteo Lahoz. And I've got to talk about him. And I don't usually single out referees. If they have a bad performance, if they do something wrong, it happens. But Matteo Lahoz just wants to make the game all about himself. This is not the first time I'm saying this, and it's not going to be the last time I'm saying this. Even with the goal, Malcom scores, and immediately the cameras are on the referee. How does that work? You've got players here who are so expensive. They're on loads of money a week. You're paying your money here to watch them entertain. They score a goal, and the camera is on the referee. And that's because he's brandishing a card. He's whipping it out there and giving it to Alba. I mean, what are you doing there? What are you trying to achieve there? Are you trying to take the shine away from Barcelona? I didn't understand that from the Lahoz, and I think he was extremely lenient all the way through the game with Real Madrid, simply because there was periods in that game we were dominating. We were on top, we were working the ball, we were doing really well, we were growing into it. And I think there was very clever tactical fouls, particularly from Luka Modric, who I reckon committed about 10 fouls tonight. No exaggeration, 10 fouls. I genuinely believe that Modric here was out kicking him. Arthur, he had about 4 tackles on Arthur, which were all fouls, and he didn't get a yellow card. And Lahoz just seemed to let them get away with it. And in the final stages, what on earth is he thinking? Ramos brings down Suarez. It's a cynical challenge. He stops Suarez getting away in the final minute. He's already on a yellow. Does he send Ramos off and ban him for the second leg? Of course he doesn't. Then there's Dani Carvajal, brings down us on the break in the final moments. Does he give him a yellow? No, he doesn't. Lahoz today for me was absolutely diabolical again. In the second leg, he will not be the referee, and that in itself gives us a massive advantage. In the second leg, I can guarantee you a better Barcelona. Today, I'll give credit. Real Madrid played well, not for all of the game, but they had parts in this game. They dominated the ball. They were good on the counter. They forced us into a lot of last-ditch blocks. Vinicius was on that left-hand side. He was getting in behind, but his final ball let him down so many times, or it could have been a lot worse. But in the second leg, we will be better. Messi will be available. Dembele, hopefully, of course, all these players are available, because in the second leg, we are going to see a Barcelona who are clinical in the final third, who can make that final pass, and we will get the result that we deserve. We didn't quite earn it tonight. A draw, a fair result, but we'll be back, and when we are, we will be ready to go through to the final. So as always, guys, after so much build-up here to this Clásico match, I think it was a very, very entertaining game. At both ends, it was certainly end-to-end. There was a lot of action, a lot of fouls, of course, a lot of niggly moments. But at the same time, there was a lot of action in the boxes, in the goals, and it was a good Clásico match. So leave your thoughts down below. What did you think of our performance today? What do you think of our display before Messi came on? And then how do you think we reacted once he was on the pitch? Did we then do enough after we'd scored to really kick on? I think Messi was certainly trying to make things happen. He was running. You could see him there. The hunger was in his eyes, but I'm just not sure he got enough support in the final stages there from his teammates, who just seemed to let that intensity just dip a little bit, which allowed Real Madrid back in the game, and they had a bit of control then in the final stages. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you, of course, for joining me right across this Clásico occasion, and of course the good thing is, there's 2 more to come. We are not done yet. I'll see you soon, guys, with more videos, but until then, as always, Vazquez! El Barça. Barça!